Following the historic match between the Japan U20 national team and the Blue Lock 11, we see the commencement of the second phase of the Blue Lock program, otherwise known as the NEO-EGOIOST League. And with this, the entire landscape of the manga was completely shaken up. 5 professional teams, each hailing from one of Europe's big 5 leagues, headed by its own master striker, and packed to the brim with world-class talent. Since the start of the NEO-EGOIST League, we've been treated to hype moments, insane character development, some of the craziest action panels you're ever going to see in manga, let alone sports manga, and most of all, the levels just keep getting higher and higher to the point where I don't even know when Isagi's going to take over as the number 1, if he's ever going to. As you all know, the level of competition increased tremendously due to the fact that they've brought in not only new Gen 11, but professional level players who just severely outclass the Blue Lockers that we know and love. However, not all hope is lost for them yet. We've seen over the course of the last 3 matches that not only our main characters, but every single one of our Blue Lockers is evolving at a rapid rate. Alongside Isagi awakening, you got Nagi, you got Baro scoring the hat-trick against Barcha. Like, what the hell is that? And not to mention, we still have a couple games left. And of course, as you've read through the manga, their evolutions have been reflected through one thing, that being their NEL valuations. You see, part of the NEO-EGOIST League is not only to play against world-class talent, but to showcase your talents to the rest of the world. Not only fans watching worldwide, but professional football clubs all around the world who are looking to acquire new players. This is your chance to not only improve your game and prove yourself as a player, but also fast-track your way to a professional team. Which finally brings me to the topic of today's video, and that is going to be predicting the final NEL valuations for our beloved Blue Lock players. You have to keep in mind they value goals very, very highly, and on top of that, for clubs such as PXG who have 2 superstars such as Rin and Shido who can score at any time, being limited to 3 goals a game makes it pretty difficult to kind of stack your chips, you know what I'm saying? Also, you will see a mix of other people in here based on their different positions, if I truly think they're going to rise up as standouts for their team. So yeah. Pretty straightforward, right? If you go on to enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a like and consider subbing up to the channel with notifications turned on so you never miss another banger from myself again. Grab some snacks, fill those cups, and you know what? That's probably gonna get me TOS'd. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Okay, first up, I got 5 honorable mentions. First up, Shigiri. He's gonna stack his bread. I think he's really good, but plain and simple, I think he's gonna get hurt. Done. Next up, Yuki Miya. I feel like he's going to come into his own, do a lot more for the team. He already has a decently high bid compared to the other players, and since he already is a starter, he's going to keep stacking up his bag and showcasing what he's all about. Next up, we got Shark Boy. Kurona's going to go stupid. He's going to remain a starter for the rest of the NEO-EGOIST League and continue to be a decent playmaker, helping Isagi move the ball downfield, so he's going to continue to shine. Just, you know, it's not going to be enough to break into the top 10. Next up, we got Mr. Bullcut himself, Iki Nico. As we saw in the recent chapters, Nico has awakened himself, and while I feel like he could make a good case for the number 10 spot, I feel like it's just going to be a little hard for him to surpass that threshold. Then the final honorable mention I want to make is Karasu. Karasu, as we know, is probably one of the most underrated players in the entirety of the series. One of the best overall captains, posing the best mindsets, as well as just an overall great player all around. I mean, he was ranked number 3 in the 3rd selection, which is saying something, so I think he's just going to showcase some more dominance. Landing him a pretty solid NEL value, just slightly missing out of the top 10 though. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get straight into it. Coming in at number 10, Gin Gagamaru. Okay, now I know. It may seem outlandish to put a goalkeeper at the number 10 spot, but I'm putting a goalkeeper at the number 10 spot. You have to understand, Gagamaru is the only goalkeeper that we have. Yeah, sure, the whole point of the program is to find the greatest striker, and goals are scored a little higher than everything else, but they're still going to be looking for other positions, and it shows from Gagamaru's current valuation. Currently, he's sitting at a bid of 28 million, so I'm going to predict his final valuation is going to be around 60 million. Next up at number 9, we have the final wall, Oliver Aiku. Disregarding Lorenzo, he's by far the best defensive option that they have on the Ubers. Yeah, sure, Nico's vision's pretty good, but Aiku also has metavision, and his physical stats are just way better. I believe that following an awakening, Aiku is going to end off with a bid of 70 million. Coming in at number 8, we have the chameleon, Mikage Ryo. Now, Ryo's a tough one. While I do believe he is better than a lot of people you're going to see above him scaling-wise, the same just can't be said when it comes to his final valuations. Yeah, sure, Ryo's a great player, and I believe he's coming into his own as the true centerpiece of the Manshine team. I could see him ending with a pretty good valuation of 80 to 90 million, putting him on my number 8 spot. Next up, lucky number 7, and that's going to be Emo Boy Kunigami coming in at a whopping 100 million. This is where we get into the big boys. Following chapter 220, where we saw Kaiser score the 2nd goal for Bayern Munich in the Ubers match, due to the fact that I think the Ubers are going to win, I don't see Kunigami scoring here. However, I do predict there is a big awakening coming soon for Kunigami, and that's going to be in the PXG match. Whether it be 1 or 2 goals, I feel like we're going to see an entirely different Kunigami Rensuke than we've seen before. Possibly a partnership between him and Isagi, leading to him potentially scoring a super goal. However, he will not be able to overcome his demons, as coming in at the number 6 spot, right in front of Kunigami, is going to be Shido Ryusei. Now, a lot of you are going to be like, why do you have Shido this low? And it's for a specific reason. As I mentioned earlier, the thing that sucks with Rin Levine and Shido is that they have to split goals. We know the two of them, the playstyle that they play with when they're on the same field as each other is basically beat the fuck out of one another and try to score goals while you can. And obviously from the results of the third selection, as well as the Ubers match that we saw in a recap, Reen's doing a little better at the moment. I do think Shido's going to go off, however, probably scoring another unrealistic goal and gaining a lot of hype similar to Nagi, and end up with a whopping bid of 125 million. Speaking of my boy Nagi, he's coming into the number 5 spot. Okay, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh my god, here we go, Clamp, glazing again as always, but no, it makes sense. As we know, he's currently ranked number 2 for valuations in the entire Blue Lock facility, already possessing an offer of 88 million. Riding this momentum, whether or not he lives up to the hype of 5 shot, I feel like it's comfortable to see Nagi ending with an offer of at least 150 million, most likely from Manshine, meaning that he's going to remain on the team. And actually, I do predict that everybody from this point on is going to be staying on their respective teams. Speaking of which, we have the second coming of Levinho, that being Meguru Bachida. Currently ranked 3rd in the Blue Lock valuations, Bachira remains impressive, able to score on the impenetrable Ubers defense, giving his team even just a little bit of hope. I believe that with a possible upset win in the future, as well as just being an overall great playmaker and goal scoring option for his team, Bachira is going to end up with an offer of at least 200 million. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm getting a little headcanony with the numbers. I want these to be some big ones here. Okay, strap in everybody, we have a hot take inbound. Because coming in at number 3 is Satoshi Rin. I know. I don't want to do this, but it's pretty reasonable when you consider the facts, you know. As I stated with Shido, Rin is going to be constantly fighting for goals with his counterpart. Not to mention anybody else that might be scoring goals on the team, but as we saw from the first game, it's mainly just them two. Anywhere from 225 to 250 mil for Rin. I feel like it's a pretty good one. Even though I do feel like Rin is going to be overwhelmingly dominant by the time we see him in the PXG Ambassador match, I feel like due to the fact that he's constantly sharing goals with Shido, it just puts him at a slight disadvantage when considering the next two individuals. Because someone who doesn't have to share goals is an individual known as the King, named Baro Shoei. Currently possessing the number 1 highest valuation of 100 million, Baro Shoei had to appear in the top end of this list. Now that it's basically confirmed that the entire Uber strategy revolves around feeding him goals, it's safe to say that especially if the Ubers are successful, Baro's going to end up with a very, very, very high valuation by the end of the NEO-EGOIOST League, and consider the fact that he didn't even play in the PXG match, yeah, that kind of sucks for Baro. I feel like Baro is going to end up with another hat-trick in the Bastion Munich match, but sadly the Ubers will lose in an upset to Manshine City, potentially due to his rivalry with Nagi having any sort of effect in Nagi's spin-off manga. The King is going to find himself with an offer of anywhere between 250 to 275 million. This absolutely diabolical offer is second only to the egoist himself, Isagi Yoichi, coming in at 300 million. Now I know, this could be complete meat writing if this is the case, but I feel like this will be so sick. Imagine the final valuation that Isagi receives is the exact same valuation that Kaiser had going into the NEO-EGOIST League. It would highlight his evolution in a way that would actually make sense and hit home to how effective it was, as well as just bringing the entire narrative full circle, as you know he used to see Kaiser as a form of play similar to his own that was just so superior he could never reach it. All these reasons, plot, narrative, convenience, whatever you want to throw into it, I see no other reason as to why Isagi Yoichi shouldn't be the number 1 ranked valuation by the end of the NEO-EGOIST League. Alright guys, and that's gonna do it for today. Thank you so much to every single one of you who tuned in. As always, I really do appreciate it. Once again, if you went on to enjoy, please make sure to like this video as well as subbing up to the channel with notifications turned on so you never miss my beautiful face again. If you want to stay up to date with what I'm doing, make sure you join the Discord. Link's gonna be in the description below, as well as going and subbing over to my Kick. I'm gonna be streaming a lot more on there. Go check me out, I really would appreciate it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today. Love you guys. Take it easy.